I mean, the whole entire game is just entertainment. It's not like there's people that are competitive. There's people who are just more casual, like I am.
Describe Magic. Okay. So the first one is it's going to be aggravating, especially when you're first learning.
Words. First off, money sink.
It's very competitive.
Do I think it's addicting? That is a good question. I don't know if you can quote me saying this, but I've said that Magic the Gathering is like crack cocaine, except crack makes you feel good. So it's definitely addicting, and you definitely can get a lot of money and a lot of time sucked into it. But you don't have to. It's not as bad as a lot of people think it is. It's more so for fun than it is for the rush of playing cards for most people.
Just think about like you get around and you're playing like a game of like Monopoly or something. If you're playing in a group session where like you're going against many people at once, there's going to be a point in time where you realize it's like, I'm going to mess with that person, or you just kind of want to poke and prod and have fun with other players. And so you kind of build memories through that where it's like, oh, you remember what he did this one time, or it's like, I can't believe you did this one time. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
You said that crack cocaine makes you feel good. Does Magic not make you feel good?
Oh, Magic definitely makes you feel good. There's nothing like the feeling of you're in the last round, it's you and some other guy in the finals, and then you pull the one card you need, and you play it and you win. There's nothing like that feeling. Then again, there's nothing worse than the feeling of somebody doing that to you. So it's definitely a love-hate relationship with, yes, this feels great, and oh, I can't believe I lost that.
At the end of the day, it's just all a game, and so it's fun.
So in basic terms, the way you play Magic is you have these cards called spells. And to cast spells, you need what is called mana. So the mana comes in forms of cards called land. So you'll play a land, which you can play for free at any time. Play that, you tap that, which essentially means you're taking the mana from it, and you use it to play these spells. Spells can be creatures, they can be sorceries, instants, cards that do a whole manner of different things. There's a whole bunch of different types of cards, but creatures and sorcerers are probably the most common. And you basically win by either putting out a lot of guys and beating your opponent with them, or playing spells that let you stop your opponent and spells that let you defeat your opponent.
Well, there's three big constructed formats. Plus limited. So in limited, it's very casual. It's a lot of people that have played on kitchen tables for years that come in. They want to play in a tournament setting that's very friendly to newer players. So you don't go to like a limited event very regularly where it's very competitive. Standard, you kind of get a little bit of both. You get the very hyper competitive people like me, and you get the very casual players that just like don't like playing with new decks every time they want one deck and they want to play that deck and that's it. Modern, you get much more into the hardcore competitive, I take everything personally kind of people, which is why I kind of stay out of that format, because people get very angry about things they have no control over, and they take it out on you, and it's just kind of like, all right, I thought we were here to play a card game, not yell at each other. And then there's Legacy, which, like I said earlier, is the old boys club. That's probably the best community that I'm a part of. The Legacy community, they're all very respectful. It's predominantly older people like in their late 30s, early 40s, people who've been playing the game since it started, and so that's why they play Legacy. And those people, especially with knowing how valuable the decks are, at least the tier decks that people expect to see, people are very respectful. No one's throwing cards around. Everyone's super friendly. They're just glad to be playing the format because it is a much smaller format than the other formats, which have more players. So a lot of times we're just glad to be able to play it in the first place. So we don't take anything like losses seriously because we still get to play the decks. So, and there's also the difference of at like an F&M setting like we are here, versus at a very high-level tournament such as a Grand Prix or a Star City Games Open, where you obviously see more competitive players.
The game could get really expensive at some times, including depending on what format you want to play in. One of my friends who plays in probably the most expensive one called Legacy, he has a deck that's worth probably about $5,000, and I would never go that far. But then there's other people who have that like play more casually and want to have more fun with it, and it just really depends. It's like what they say. It's like the more money you put towards a hobby, the more it becomes more of a profession rather than just a hobby. And there's that.
How much money have you put into it?
That is a question I hate getting asked. I have probably spent about $8,000.
Oh, golly, that's a good question. Probably around hundreds. So, not as much as some of these other guys, but probably a significant portion.
Right now, I haven't spent anything on Magic cards since last year, since I've been in my doing senior project and all that. And most of my money's been going to that. But when I first started, it was probably a considerable amount of me using my paycheck or allowance or something like that. And yeah, I learned to cut back.
How much money do you think that you've spent overall?
I think I spent closer to 1,000. That's probably a little bit less than most people who have like played just as long as me.
Here's the other thing is I collect, and so what I will put money in, and then that $8,000 or what have you is constantly fluctuating. I'm buying and selling cards, and so I've probably made maybe $3,000-4,000. My collection at its peak was worth about $12,000 just off of me making good trades and finding good deals and whatnot. So it's not like I just went out and just wrote a blank check for $8,000 and I want all the Magic cards. Like, I didn't do that. It started slow, and then once I kind of realized that these cards were a more stable investment, you know, and it was like they weren't just gonna like fall out from under me. I was like, okay, now I'm fine spending $100, $150, $200 on a single card.
Really, the best way to do Magic trades is just that, through trades. Somebody's got a card you want, they've got a card they want, you just swap them over. Saves everybody money, saves everybody time. It's a good way to do it.
One of the big things about that is the reserve list, which is a list of cards that Wizards, the company that makes Magic, has promised they will never reprint for any reason, ever. The cards that are on this reserve list are very, very expensive. There are some cards that retail about $6,000 a piece. They'll never be reprinted. The only ones that came out were the ones that came out when the game was very small, and so people didn't realize the value that would be attached to them. So some cards were lost due to, you know, going through the washing machine or something like that. So the cards are exponentially rare and exponentially pricey. Most expensive card I have right now is worth about $200, and I have 3 of them.
The most expensive card I have is a card called Kalia of the Vast, and she's worth about $60. So, not a very expensive card, but to me it's worth a lot.
And did you pay for that straight out, or did you?
I did. I bought it a couple of years ago. I actually paid like I think $20 for it, and since then it's just gone straight up in price. So I've actually done pretty good with it.
Okay. Are you thinking of selling it?
Oh, no way. She holds more sentimental value than monetary value.
So what got you interested in Magic?
I actually had a couple of coworkers at my old job at Walmart that played, and I worked with them a lot, and we would hang out at each other's places a lot, and they would play Magic, and they kind of got me into it because we have a lot of similar interests. And they sat me down, handed me a deck, and I started playing. I loved it, and I immediately just kind of jumped headfirst in. So that's kind of like so this was back 2013.
Really, it's my friends back home. They all played Magic, and I was kind of like the lone wolf. I didn't really do it until they finally got me into it, and now I've sunk more money than I have into OSU.
It was one of those games that I've seen like off and on like throughout high school, and then actually I think it was my freshman year I became a couple of friends with some people who played Magic, and they taught me the ropes about it, and like it was actually a lot more in depth than I thought than I thought it was. I thought it was like Pokemon or like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you just kind of collect the cards and all that, but it's actually there's a strategy and some sort of game to it.
I actually am a huge board game guy. I'm actually a registered board game judge in the state of Texas. I own hundreds of different board games. I'm actually the board game director for Gamers of OSU. So before I played Magic, I played a lot of board games. I played a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons, a whole bunch of nerdy stuff, which kind of helped me get into Magic a lot. So, yeah.
I used to do a lot of like video game tournaments and whatnot in high school, and since video game tournaments have gotten a lot bigger and people have gotten a lot better because they can devote more time, I obviously, being a student, don't have that kind of time, but with Magic, I'm still able to devote a decent amount of time to it. It's not as intense. I don't have to practice 8-10 hours a day like I did when I was doing the video game tournaments, and I still get that competitive fix, which is really what makes the game fun for me.
When I first started, I played weekly, maybe once or twice a week, and that's not counting the amount of games that crammed into that. But Mostly now, since I'm in my senior year working on my senior project and all that, it's been kind of, I play like once a month, if even.
So here it's very casual, which has its pros and cons. Obviously, it's a very friendly atmosphere here. Everyone here is friends. We all go hang out, at the bars together. We all are just friends. On the other side of that, though, because everyone here is so casual, it's very hard to get really good practice in. So it really relies down on like me and like 2 or 3 other people that play competitively. We all just kind of like, hey, let's meet up somewhere and actually practice. And we don't really get that practice at FNM because a lot of people there are very, very casual. And so it's the games that we play at FNM, we can't really count as practice because they aren't the kind of people that we'll be playing against, so it doesn't really mean anything to practice against them.
The Stillwater community around Magic is fantastic. Like I said, there's a lot of great people, there's a lot of great games, there's a lot of great cards. It's just a great game. It's one that I think anyone can get into, and it's easy to learn but hard to master, but once you do and you hit that sweet spot, it's just golden.
If anyone watching is thinking that they might want to try coming to play Magic, I would highly recommend coming down to Night Arms and just come down on a Friday night or a Monday night and just come see for yourself. We're very friendly to new players, and we always love trying to get more people into the game. So if you just come in, hey, I have no idea how to play this game, but I really want to, we'll gladly sit you down and get you started.